I just want to correct myself with regards to the last statement I've made, and where I included Trump into this and Putin into this god of or dogs of war theory, where politics has become so influential that they're pushing people to war. I want to take back that Trump is a dog of war, and neither was Putin. And this is why these two, there was a brief moment in time where U.S.-Russia relationship could have been made into a partnership because Trump understood the interest. So I wouldn't call Trump, I would actually say that Trump is the only, his only real value is that for a brief moment before they called him a Russian spy, and before this, this is why we don't speak of politicians as independent, except in the case of Putin, where I think he is actually a president that is allowed to make decisions according to some kind of a moral code, where everybody is calling him in the West this madman. I think that everybody else is a madman, and that he's the only reasonable aspect of politics, no matter how cruel that might sound at this moment. Where, however, his method is not cruel. He does not target civilians. This is also another massive propaganda that's been spread. And Trump was a beast of another kind. He was like an economical beast, where he was like, but he did by saying America first is also something not particularly moral view. It does imply that he was interested in the American people and not the foreign policies that America was leading. So this is why he said what he said, basically to kind of decompose this massive involvement in NATO. And he even said that he wanted to get out of NATO, which would have saved the world, because NATO is the sole reason why we're in this situation. There is no other reason except that that NATO wanted to turn this so military power over any kind of reason. So I definitely want to. I mean, it's definitely, it was wrong of me to call Trump the war dog, because he was not this. He was definitely somewhat of a greed hog, but and he was in many aspects, different aspects at fault. But this is not what I want to talk about. Basically, now that this politics have taken over our lives, and this not politics but war, the politics of a power against the power, and how this has influenced people, and how everybody will suffer, and people who are actually innocent, who are not even didn't vote nor took part in this labyrinth that has been going on, but just want to live their lives and offer to the world what they can in order to be saved themselves. And this is primarily with regards to the number of people that have been influenced, especially Russians, that will be, whose careers will be destroyed because of this situation. Athletes, I don't know, artists, every single aspect, everything that is Russian is being condemned, and and criticized and uh, b- abolished, and completely. They're trying to make every Russian who has any kind of a way of proving themselves on an international level, and they've banned Dostoevsky, they've banned Tchaikovsky, they're just discrediting the whole Russian population, uh, and blaming every single person on the planet who is against them. So this is terribly hard. But I understand that there is, but what I hope that is going to come out of this is that all of these people with huge potential who have been sanctioned find a different different ground where they can continue to evolve in their respective field. And perhaps this is an opportunity, because Europe is perhaps, and the US are not the grounds where people have free thoughts, and all these artists and even athletes, perhaps they will not make as much money, but perhaps their abilities will be heard elsewhere. Perhaps we're not limited, and this shouldn't be important how much money we make, but just to show how great we are in our respective fields. um, and and I understand for many, they're not particularly athletes, but for many other aspects, the language will be a barrier, because probably all of these people studied in the countries where they now reside and from which uh, they're chasing them out. And I hope that they can find a new destination. They're still, you're not separated from the world. The world is not what certain areas from which you're forcefully taken out. This is not necessarily the world that you have to belong to. So I guess we carry the world in our own minds, and this is where we have to create new world for us, independent of the politics, because politics has grabbed is becoming far too important, without actually being providing something that is true, and that is subjective, and that is that we should be led by. So even though some losses, and the language barrier now becomes a big problem, because probably all these people have learned the languages, and have developed towards a certain area, and this. But I don't know. I've said that language is part of an integrity of certain people, but perhaps it's time to change our integrity and to move away from the languages and from the audiences which we are accustomed to. And perhaps it's time to look elsewhere, to spread what we think is important. And I think this is a really important lesson. Obviously, it will be economically unviable for a certain period of time, and I'm sure the athletes who play in England and will make more money than if you start playing in China at this moment, or in India, but certainly not Brazil. So as far as football, let's say, goes, And if you are a you know, I mean, there will be you can bring, I mean, you don't have to be so, I guess, competitive to bring joy. Perhaps I'm just thinking through this and finding a way. Basically, your influence perhaps is more needed elsewhere. You know, when you get kicked out from anything or anywhere, basically your path becomes harder. But perhaps that path is the more worthy. You will not be considered important by the world, but at the end of the day, the only thing you have is self-respect. I mean, it doesn't matter whether they respect you, or even, you know, whether you respect them. It In the end, it matters that you have respect for yourself. That's the only person in the end that you end up with, and so I pray that spirits do not become broken by this and by this situation that politics have brought upon us, and that we continue to grow, perhaps in a different direction, because we are kind of so tied to these Western values economically, and we know that they pay the most and that they offer but that they offer what they offer. However, there are new markets that are being that are opening up, and if you look, the world is developing in an unbelievable way economically, and perhaps they would benefit from artists. That I know they would, because perhaps all this time that all this effort that we've spent into upholding this Western culture was a big mistake. And Russians even said this, that, and even me, I mean, I've always believed that this is some kind of a civilized, this is the way to be. I mean, how their values are the values that should be upheld. And I don't see this as so anymore. And perhaps our understanding of this can make us evolve. After all, I was told also when I was in these, in Jerusalem, we're not, that we should help anybody that requires help. So if somebody doesn't require your help, great. There are many people that do, and these expanding markets like China, like Abu Dhabi, like Middle East, like India. Perhaps this is the time to turn our attention to something. They're people as well. They require theaters. They require performers. They require dancers. They require athletes. They want to see, and they want to see what we offer. So, I don't think that this is a loss for anybody who has been hit by these sanctions, but rather an opportunity to turn it into an opportunity to evolve and become what you want to be, just not in this place. We're very limited, and the society. I know this from experience, that society limits your capability, and that indifference and aggression are definite sins, as I've spoken before. So the indifference that the Western civilization shows is being manifested right before our eyes. So basically, I this is not the indifference kills you. It kills your spirit. It makes you not care anymore. And I'm sure a lot of people are at this desperate state where the system kind of beats you. The system makes you say, yeah, what is all this for? Like this can happen any moment, and everybody around you is just in a wrong state of mind, and 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 you lose the you lose your way. So I pray that you overcome this indifference and this aggression, and that you still understand there is people who actually need you, and who would benefit from your knowledge, and you have to understand this. And I have been in this situation, and I'm perhaps still in this situation because I'm not strong enough sometimes to understand that even if you change, you don't have to change too many people, but even if you change a few, it is a worthy journey. So all of these Russians who tomorrow are being exiled from their life may very well tomorrow be the new hope. And I don't mean perhaps this is going to happen on a political scene as well, but in their own mind. I mean, and in the end, nobody judges you except for God. So especially when the judgments that come from people are the way they are now. So try to try not to give up. I know this is hard, but this is very important for you. So even though it's not important for them, it's important for you, and it's important to God. So put this above all else, because all else is garbage. Garbage that just changes shapes and forms, and by knowing what's wrong with the situation makes you really special, because very few people on this planet, and that's why it says it's like a small crew that actually makes it up there. And it's stormy. It's a stormy path, and it's incredibly hard. And I hope that some of us make it there, because it's a special place, and it brings special joy. So don't give up. Expand in every direction that you can. I mean, many roads will close, but still the one right above your head is still open. So evolve from this. I hope this doesn't stop you, but it makes you bigger and stronger. And I hope that everybody who pursues their dream, if they've dreamt well, like Indians say, they will be rewarded. So, and there are bigger rewards than money and acceptance from a particular group. So spread, please, just make the whole planet your own oyster, as they say. And there's lots of room for growth. And I believe that the Western world is coming to an end of their growth in every single aspect, and their views are so close-minded, and they have nothing to offer except for perhaps history. I even said that, Europe is an old lady. Um, and the US is like, this power which doesn't listen to God. So it never does. Power never listens to God, and it doesn't. It enforces everything that it wants to enforce. However, this is not the God's way. This is not how we should be living. So perhaps it's time to expand in a different way, and this war perhaps is an opportunity to do that. So this is going to be a hard battle, let me tell you, because this is so rooted in us that, and to free ourselves from this influence is incredibly difficult. We've grown accustomed to indifference. I've even just started talking about this with regards to Ukraine. I haven't mentioned what happened to all the other places. We're completely indifferent to the suffering of other people. So we're indifferent, and this punishment awaits us for this. I can guarantee you this. I mean, nobody can guarantee you. Nobody with assurance can say this, but I, with assurance, can say this. So indifference and the loss of morale is a definite is never an it should never be an option. You may have periods when you're down and when you're out, but you have to get up, and because you're in the mud, and so don't lay in the mud. Get up and get out of the mud, and pursue that which is up there, which is help anybody that help requires. Show everybody your ability, and if you can appreciate them, even if nobody else appreciates them, if you see something there, and that it's good, and then go for it. So never give up.